food web. Let's do it. A food web shows all of the food chains. This in this picture here is just reminding you about what trophic levels mean. Food webs have the same trophic levels, so there will still be producers. There'll still be different levels of consumers. We may also see decomposers, detritivores. You can use the same words, the same things we kind of used for food chains. Just this time it's going to be a little more complicated because we'll have arrows pointing everywhere. Remember when you draw arrows that they have to point in the direction that energy is flowing. Make sure you don't put your arrows backward, or else you're going to be saying some interesting feeding relationships. So in this one, we are saying the energy starts with the plant, then it moves to a grasshopper, then the grasshopper has a bunch of predators. You can see it's flowing around up until we get to this top guy. Before we leave that, I know we're kind of flying through food webs, and we did kind of cover it a little bit, plus it's like food chains, but more. So think of all the stuff we did with food chains and add more. We're going to now look at other ways that we can see food in an ecosystem that's maybe not with the web and the arrows. An energy pyramid is showing you a food chain, but this time by how much energy is in the level, and it's kind of shaped like a triangle or a pyramid. The levels that are bigger means they have more energy, and plants are on the bottom. So here the blue level is plants, which can get 100% of energy. Then there's the first level of the consumer, then second consumer, and third consumer. And if you remember at the end of the notes from food chains, we said they only pass on 10% of the energy. That's what this math here is showing you. It was 100, then 10, then 1, then 0.1. This pyramid, because the plant level is bigger, it is showing you that plants have more energy. The grasshoppers in the yellow have a little less energy. The frogs have a little less. The snakes have a little less. A biomass period, this one on the left, it shows the total mass, biomass, living mass, the amount of things that are in there. This one, it doesn't really look like a pyramid. It's kind of generally triangle shaped, but not really. This one shows you, this is a ocean food chain. So there's some plankton that do photosynthesis. Then there's other plankton that eat them. And then some shrimp, and then some fish, and then the sharks. It's the same idea that there are fewer sharks, so there'd be less mass of shark. It's the same kind of idea, but this time you're showing mass instead of energy. Pyramid of numbers shows you the actual number. So here we're saying there's 10,000 shrimp, 1,000 bleak, 100 perch, 10 pike, 1 osprey. Osprey is a kind of bird. So these are different ways. We're still talking about an ecosystem. We're still talking about a food chain or maybe a food web. This kind of pyramid shows you how much energy is in each level. The biomass shows you the mass, the weight of those things. Pyramid of numbers shows you it in numbers. They're all just showing you the same thing, just in different ways. Last part here, these are super short. This is something we're going to spend a lot of time talking on because it happens a lot. Bioaccumulation or biomagnification. It is an increase in toxic chemicals as you move up the food web or food chain. Let's say there's pollution in the water. Very itty bitty tiny things probably will get some pollution in them because they're so small. They get eaten by a predator. Well, now that predator has a little bit of pollution in them. They get eaten by a bigger predator who now has more pollution. So as it goes up, the amount of pollution increases. And by the time you get to that big last predator, it can be deadly. This is part of the reason why they tell pregnant women not to eat fish, because mercury can bioaccumulate. And for us, as not babies, we're not fetuses growing in the womb, the mercury is probably not that big of a deal for us. But if a pregnant woman eats this fish and it has mercury in it, it could damage the unborn baby. You can also think of how this might be dangerous for something like a bear that's eating a lot of polluted animals. So we're going to come back to the idea of bioaccumulation because it's kind of a big deal. Whoop, that's it. So you will see more pictures of food webs. You should know how to read a food web as compared to a food chain, which we have practiced a little bit, and we're going to practice some more. And you should generally have an idea of what these pyramids are talking about. Like energy pyramid, talking about energy. Biomass period, talking about mass. By the way, secret word, biomass. Pyramid of numbers, talking about the actual numbers of things at each level. And we'll see more with bioaccumulation. Questions? Let me know. See you next time.